Hi everybody, Kim Berry here with Kim's DIY Tribe. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for coming and spending some time talking about crafts. Today I want to share a special feature about the Glowforge Laser. It has what's called a trace or capture feature. That means that anything you have that's handwritten, like let's say you've lost a parent, but you have cards they wrote you that say love dad or love mom, or you have handwritten recipes from a grandma or great grandma, or maybe you have children's drawings that your child made when they were really little and they're really special, or you want them to become a special gift, a sentimental, personal, custom gift. All those can be put right in the laser bed. They can scan it with the cameras that are in the bed, the Glowforge gnomes, pixies, and they can turn that into an engrave on wood or cork or marshmallows. Have you seen my marshmallow video? Or you could put it on tile and make it into something unique and special. So I'm going to flip the camera view, let you see my laptop, and walk you through the steps of how this process all takes place. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please hit subscribe and stay with me. We're going to have a really good time. Let's get started with how to use this trace and capture feature. Here's an example. I just wrote real quick on a piece of plain white paper because the less visual distraction in the background, the better your print is going to be. If you were using a greeting card or a recipe card, whatever's in the background, whether it be drawings or flowers, that's going to print if you don't take it out somehow. Now on a recipe card, it's part of the vintage charm, the little lines or the little picture. That wouldn't bother me. Even if it had a grease splatter on the recipe card, it's kind of authentic. But there are some pieces that you might not want in your finished project. So you might want to take it to a copy machine and kind of cut out or copy and then cut out the part you want to actually print onto your wood or tile. So think through how you're going to go about that first. So then you're going to lay your paper in your bed. I use these hold down pins. This is a free file that you make your own when you get your Glowforge. It helps keep wood flat and straight if it's a little warped or if it doesn't lay nice and tight in your bed. And it will keep things like paper from blowing around. I would not want my paper to get caught in the laser beam on the wrong settings. You can totally engrave and cut paper, but you would use a different setting. And if this blew into the laser, it could cause a fire. And so I'm pinning this down so it won't blow. You could always open it and take it out after you captured your image as well. I'm just going to use a scrap piece of wood. This could be used as a gift tag for a gift or something like that, a magnet. And I'm going to close the bed and let the magic happen. Okay, here we are in the Glowforge user interface. I'm sure it's starting to look familiar to you if you've been with me very long. We're going to come along and we're going to hit create. Here we normally would choose new blank design, and you could choose that and still use the trace feature, but we're going to go down to the capture from the camera. Remember I said it was called trace or capture? Both words are used in the interface, so just know it's kind of the same idea. We're using the cameras in the bed to pick up this message or this writing or the drawing, whatever it is that you put in there. And we're going to use this white cursor and box the part that we want to capture. And then it's going to pop up and show you if you like the way it looks. This is where if there are background lines or fingerprint smudges or ink splatters, this is where they will show up and they'll let you know if you're happy with this design or you're not so happy with it. Now the second part, it tells you what to do right up here in this bar, is that we're going to click away the white background. This is important because not only are we going to click away the big background, but you also want to come in these small details. Sometimes they don't look right if you don't click away the white background because they'll fill in those holes or it'll look like a bubble kind of. And you want to make sure that it gets rid of that background. If you think you're ready to go, you come up here in the upper right-hand corner and hit Place Artwork. If not, you can always go backwards and redo the whole thing if you're not satisfied with the way it looks. Now, I always like to bring it up and enlarge it so I can really look it over and make sure. As you can see, there's some areas, because the way my handwriting was, that are going to print a little bit thicker. You can see that when you enlarge it. I'm okay with that. I'm going to size it down and put it on our wood scrap. Notice how it says over here on the far left, engrave one, cut the other. The one that's a cut, we want to ignore. We're not cutting this out. We're going to ignore it. We're just engraving it. So we're going to hit ignore on that one. We're going to click and drag this one and size it to our scrap of wood. Yes, it's going to be tiny. It'd be perfect for a gift tag. All right, so there it is. I'm going to go to hit my engrave. I chose the medium base wood plywood because it's about the same thickness as that. So that's what I'm going to hit. And I already had a custom setting in here that I'm going to use, that I engraved some baby month milestone markers on the same wood. So we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit that we are ready. It's going to prepare the print, and I'm going to show you the magic on time lapse in the Glowforge bed. Now I want to show you that same idea of using the trace feature or the capture feature and taking it to the next level. I've put in a drawing that's like we're pretending is from one of your children. And it's in the bed of the Glowforge. And I also wanted to show you how I put in acrylic and wood and tile. They are similar thicknesses, and I'm going to show you how we're going to handle that as we progress. But we're going to do the same steps, and we're going to take, we'll say Johnny's drawing here, and we're going to make it into usable artwork, functional. We're going to click out the background of the face and of everything else around you so that it looks right. Remember, you've got to go in some of those bubbles and click them out as well. Otherwise, you might not get, let's say, this little stick figure's facial features. So it looks like it's in the right place to me. We're going to check it here in a minute as it renders our design. Remember, I always suggest bringing it up and enlarging it so that you can kind of really check it and see. You can see that's what it's going to look like, is the blue. Good enough. His arm isn't quite connected. That means we could go back and maybe retrace that line on the paper a little bit if we wanted to, but I think that adds to the whimsical authenticity of most drawings you're going to scan. So here I am. I'm going to put him on this wood, and I wanted to show you a couple of neat, fun things you can do with this. So we're going to make him kind of big here. And when I click on him, I'm going to come over here to the right-hand side and create an outline to cut around this little stick figure so that it becomes like a character that I can use as a magnet or whatever I want to put this wood thing on. It could be a tile, it could be anything. All right, so I also want to hit Control C to copy this image and Control V. That gives me another copy. And remember this cut one, just like last time, you're going to hit ignore on that. We're not actually cutting a stick figure. That wouldn't really work very well. Okay, so we're going to come over here to this one. And real quickly, I want to move this down just a tad. You see how it's right on the edge of the wood? It's probably fine, but I'll move it down just in case. Now we've got this one, and we're going to shrink it really small to fit on this tile. And we're going to move it onto this little bitty tile. And this could be put like on a picture frame. And I'm going to add text to it, and I'm going to put from Johnny. So this could go on a picture, like Johnny's school picture, and you could put it in a frame and send it to Grandma, and it can say, from Johnny. Now, of course, Johnny could write it himself, and it could be in his own handwriting, or you could make it into whatever font you want. So we're going to leave it like this because the font part isn't important here right now. Make it a little bit bigger. And if you've watched my recent video on tile engraving, you know that you can use Sharpie to make this in any color you want. You'll fill that engrave in the tile with a color of Sharpie, and it'll come out really great. Let's move that over just a tad. Now, we want to copy this same drawing that we've been using. We already did it, so all we have to do is hit Control V again. And now we're going to come and put this on acrylic. This time we're going to make this like a zipper pull maybe for Johnny's backpack. So we're going to come and we're going to shrink him down. We're going to put a shape in here. We're going to use a circle. And we're going to make it really tiny. Stay with me here for a minute. We're going to enlarge our bed and pull it over so we can see our work. And I'll show you what I mean. Go back to the selector tool after you've used the hand to move things. I'm going to move this circle on the other side of our little stick figure because this is going to be how we actually get it to go on the backpack with like a jump ring or a clip of some sort. Here, we'll make it just a little bigger and move it over here. Other side, and we're going to shrink it down just a little more. Okay, and then we're going to add text. And this way you can clip it to Johnny's lunchbox. You can put it on a backpack. Anything that tends to get lost. Sew it inside a jacket. I am a teacher. I find jackets all over our school, all over our room, all the time. It would be so nice if I could pick one up and have this be inside of it. All right, so we're going to move the name over here. Okay, let's move that down just a little bit. And we're going to move our stick figure down just a little bit. Because here again, we're going to group all these things together. And phone ringing right at the right time. We're going to group them all together. Let me make this a little bigger for a minute so it's easier to move. And outline them just like you saw me do before. It's acting a little bit glitchy for me. And we're going to make that outline so that it will cut around. Goodness. It really is easier than it looks. All right, so we're going to group all of this by dragging a box around it. And we're going to hit that outline feature yet again, and it will outline this entire thing. Create a new outline, and it'll put a cut line around it so that you can attach this. Okay, so now we have our cut figure here, our engrave here, and our cut and engrave here. So here we go. We're going to go and make sure that the settings on the far left all align correctly with what we're asking it to do. So yes, we want it to cut out the acrylic. I'm going to move the whole thing down just a little, and this is where I can size it together and make it fit in my scrap piece. Always save your scraps. We're going to engrave the name Johnny. We're cutting out that little circle. We are engraving the From Johnny on the tile that we might want to put on a frame. We're cutting out the outline on the wood. We're engraving it in the wood. And we're ignoring the paper one. Notice I put the pins on the paper so it wouldn't float around. And it looks like we're about ready to go. I'm going to hit print. And we're going to watch and make sure the camera doesn't adjust our sizing or our proportions here. And I'm going to fast forward time lapse for you the view of the bed so that you can watch all the action. So here are our 3 finished projects all done at one time in the bed of the Glowforge Laser. Our wood cutout came out really cute. It can be a figure if they like to play with building blocks or something like that. It can be part of a play scene for your child or like almost like puzzles. And here is your backpack clip. You just clip it on to a lunchbox or a backpack or a jacket, sew it on. That way it's harder to lose. And our tile. If you've already seen my tile video, you know all about this and what I'm going to do, but you're just going to have you or your children color over all the engraved parts And this Sharpie ink will go in and fill where the glazed part of the tile was etched away. Then you simply kind of let it dry for a minute. Get a paper towel and a little rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer that has enough alcohol that it would work to remove this extra Sharpie. Remember, you don't want to soak it, you just want to wipe it away. And then this could go on any frame or gift that Johnny wanted to give. Maybe say grandma, like we were talking about earlier, a school picture, put it in a frame, put this on the wood frame, and it's good to go. It's a special one-of-a-kind gift with his drawing. It could be his handwriting as well. If he's able to write, neat enough to read, that would make it even more special. So there we are, our 3 projects of using the trace feature. Back really quick, our print is done, as you can see over here, and we could hit dismiss, but we don't want to do that at this point. I wanted to show you that you can program your cutting to go in the order that you want it to. So if you didn't want this little hole to be the first thing that your machine cut, you can reorganize these. You simply click on them and drag them in the order that you want. So if you wanted the wood to cut out first and then the wood engraved to go second, you can move it in the order that you want it to be in. And that way it makes it more time friendly on your engraves. So if you put them and group them so that they're all together, it will make your engraves go a lot quicker. Just a side note for people that might be new or didn't know that you could do that. And now you'll see that the design that you made is saved here. You can even name it something. It doesn't have to be called Trace. You can rename this project by clicking on this arrow and hitting rename, and you can call this Johnny's file. And it'll be there to reproduce that drawing as many times as you want for every person in your family.